song, which is great. Song is great for transition, too. The students know the song. They know by the time that morning song is done playing that our pencils should be sharpened and our water bottles should be filled up and we're ready to learn. So that's a really good way. There are so many happy songs. They sing it and they love it and they're happy, but as soon as the song's over, they're sitting ready to learn. You can have them like meet and greet. They can go around and talk to each other. How are you today? You know, I think we need to get out of, we're teaching them for today and teach them for the future. Like, how are you today? Caring about how they feel. And I always say the greatest representation of how you're teaching is watching your students when they think you're not watching. So when you're looking at them and they think that you're not paying attention, and they say, oh, I'm so sorry about that, or how are you? Or they give each other a hug because their puppy died. You know, those things, if you are instilling that now, you'll be able to see it when they think that you're not watching. I write a letter to my students. You can do any letter that you want, and they read it every morning before they get started. There's it.
Dear sunshines, I believe in you. I trust in you. You are listened to and cared for. Do you believe in yourself? You should, because you can do anything you set your mind to do. Dream big and reach for the stars. You will succeed. You can if you try. Love, Mrs. Lightnight. What do we say?
They say true story at the end, and then they walk back to their seats and they're ready to go. But each day someone gets to lead it, and they love it. And I've had students that have written notes to themselves, like they're taking a test and they'll say, I believe in you, I trust in you. How awesome is that? So, and also, one of the things I did put up there, having breakfast with the students. If you have a few minutes, you do not believe all the information you can learn about their life during breakfast. So, the next step, creating clear expectations. We have all had those moments where we expected someone to do something and they didn't meet our expectations, and we were extremely disappointed because they didn't do what we felt that we should do, but we didn't tell them. So same thing, have consistency. Let them know what it is that they're learning. I love one of the things, we have learning targets. And so they are responsible for their learning. We say today, I will recognize capitalization and punctuation. And you ask them, what are you learning today? I'm going to be able to recognize capitalization and punctuation. They're able to verbalize to you what it is that you're expecting them to do. So whatever it may be, you know, you would have your own standards. And having them pair it to you. What is it that I'm expecting from you? As soon as we leave this carpet, what is it that you're going to do? They tell you. Have them turn and talk. Tell a friend. What is it that you're going to be doing when you leave me? And so those little things make a really big difference. And I love that picture, too. So the fundamental key here is relationship building. Building relationships with your students. So you can do so many things starting the first day of school. Even before the first day of school, I do an open house questionnaire, and I ask them their favorite book and a little information. So when they come in the first day, the book is there, they're hooked. This place is a place for me. You know, having an inventory. What do you like? What do you not like? I don't like reading. So secretly you go, okay, I need to make that kid like reading. That's going to be my challenge. So having a star student, making them feel that they're part of the community. It's their day to shine. Having classroom team activities, that we're all working together as a team all the time. Having centers where they can manipulate and be actively engaged in what you're teaching. Appointment partners, like I said, turning and talking. Having team spirit and positive feedback, letting them know, yes, you're doing what it is that I'm expecting. And showing good sportsmanship. But also, you can do some things to teach them to appreciate differences. This is huge. This gentleman, Patrick Quinn, I don't know if you're familiar, the RTI guy is his nickname. But he had this genius idea of throwing all of these shoes in the middle of a room at the beginning of the school year. And you have like your grandpa's shoes and your baby sister's shoes and all of these shoes that are all different sizes. And the first day of school, before you do anything, you say, I want you to put these on. So they, of course, say, they don't fit. We're not all the same. They're not all the same size. And then that's a great way to say, aha, that's how our classroom's going to be. We're going to have kids leaving at certain times because there are things that they need to work on. I might work one-on-one a little more with you at this time, and then later I might work more with you. So really getting them to recognize that it's fine that we're not all the same. Another thing that I do is I have an expert book. This is great also for behavior management because it kind of builds that independence and scaffolds away from you. But like, this is my expert book, not fancy schmancy, but I find something that each child is good at. So maybe I have my math wizards here, and I have my reading experts here. And so if, say you're working with a group of children, and they have a question for you, say, I don't know, you need help with writing? Go look in the expert book and find a writing expert. Every child is an expert at something. You can always find something that they're good at, and they love this. They feel very, very special. So it's a great way to also teach them to find more independent ways of solving problems. I do a lot of spotlighting a student. So if I do find a student who's doing something well, I will spotlight their work. I'll throw it on the Elmo and I'll have them read it. They feel wonderful. They get to be the teacher for the day or for that moment. And you're also showing clear expectations of what it is that you're looking for. A tic-tac-toe board. So maybe you have a child who does not love book reports. They don't love writing. You can make that mental note and make sure that you're working with them on writing. But for the book report, they could choose something. I don't know if you're familiar with William Glasser's choice theory. Awesome. If you don't have it, I would look it up. But giving them choice and letting them choose something that they enjoy. They could paint a picture of the main idea. If you are indeed trying to assess the book and their knowledge of the book, then there shouldn't just be a one-way track. Maybe you could have them show you in a way that works for them, and then you could work on the writing with them later. Having them sit in an author chair. We have an author chair, and it's serious business when they get to sit in it and read their amazing stories. Facilitating positive behavior. There's so many things you can do. This, if I went on, could take you into the night. So I'm just going to show you what I do and give you a few other ideas of things that other teachers do, but they're truly limitless. We do the clip-up behavior system. It was on Pinterest. That's how we got it. So my students start every day on green, and they clip up. They have their names on a clip, and they clip up for making good choices. Once they get to super student, then everybody gives them a standing ovation or round of applause. And once they get a gem on their clip, and once they get 5, they go to the Super Student Hall of Fame, which means they get to retire their clip on a piece of paper, but for them it's serious business, and they get a new clip. And it's a great way. I'm a firm believer of always letting them move up. I know that that's a little controversial, but I feel like they should be able to always have an opportunity to prove themselves, and if they are able, they can move up. So, and at the end of the day, we talk about what choices happened yesterday, and we start clean slate. It's a new day. We've all made mistakes, brand new. So we have a star citizen. So if I catch somebody making a good character choice, now it cannot be, oh, look at me helping them pick up these books. Wasn't that nice of me, teacher? It has to be like they're actually making an excellent choice, and I catch them, and I let them put a punch in their star, and once they get 20, they get to choose out of the treasure chest. Incentive charts, tally marks. I know some teachers give the kids a Post-it every day, and they can put tally marks. If they get to a certain amount, then they get a prize. You could do it the other way if they make poor choices, but I would encourage you to maybe let them do the positive ones. And student accountability worksheets. Now this is more of a way for the teacher to keep track, but I felt like it was important to share. So this has, it's kind of hard to see, but this has the different parts of the day, the different chunks. So there's like morning work and phonics, and it has the different time slots. And then the teacher kind of keeps track. So say, for example, you have a child that's really off task, and you just can't figure out what is going on with them. So you kind of keep this tally on your own, and you tally like when the times are that they're most off task. We found out before, just by using this, like a child had ADHD. He was getting his medication in the morning, wasn't getting it in the afternoon, and completely fell apart at the end of the day. He wasn't learning anything. So by doing little things like this and keeping track, we noticed that he needed to take half of his medication in the afternoon, and we were good to go. So you could also do team efforts. So we have a word like responsibility at the top of my board, and every time every person in our team makes an act to be responsible, they earn a letter. Once they earn the whole word, then we earn a team prize. I also saw one of our 4th grade teachers, she does Build Mr. Potato Head. That works too. So every time each person in the entire class makes a great choice, they put a body part to Mr. Potato Head. When he's built, they earn a class prize. You can do anything. Parent communication is another biggie, and it's not always easy. There are some parents that are going to show up for parent-teacher conference night, and those are the ones that are also going to be doing homework every night, and you're going to have parents that are a little bit challenging. So some of the things we do are sandwich the conversation. That's my rule of thumb. So if parents feel attacked, especially the ones that are not involved, tend to be a little more defensive. So I always start with something positive. Thank you so much for taking the time to come tonight. Your child is amazing at something. And then you do the bulk, the big issue, like the goal we need to focus on, and then end on something fluffy. So then the next time your name comes up, they're a little less resistant to what you have to say. I send happy notes. Even if there's something little that they've done great, I'll send a letter home and say, I'm saying I want more of that choice. So sending happy notes home, this is our parent communication log, so I'll just throw something in here. Bob was making awesome choices with a friend today, or something. Something little, but you're letting the parent know, I'm not just criticizing, I'm acknowledging good choices too. And conferencing as often as possible. I found that it's helpful to not wait till parent-teacher conferences to discuss any issues that you have. Sometimes you blindside them during that conference and they say, where have you been for all of this time? Even if it's through a note, through an email, through a phone call, let them know where we are. So the mountain doesn't seem quite so high. By the time you reach them, say, these are the next goals. Okay, these are the next goals that we're going to be working on. So then when parent-teacher conference night does come, they don't feel that they've been blindsided. So what about the challenging kids? Challenging is such an enormous umbrella. There are so many things. We all use the word challenging, but what does challenging mean? Is it that they're disengaged? Are they defiant? Are they impulsive? Are they hyper? Are they distracted? Before we can do any troubleshooting, we need to determine what exactly does challenging mean. And once we've determined that, then we can start troubleshooting. I've had students who were wiggly, and they progressively got more and more wiggly, and by the time March came, I realized, hey, they've been in indoor recess from December to March, and they have ADHD to begin with. Of course they're wiggly. So I ordered a kids yoga DVD from Scholastic. I threw it in during indoor recess. They did yoga, and the behaviors completely dissipated. You know, there are so many things you wouldn't think of. Wiggly seats, stress balls, having them, I put a carpet right outside my hallway one time, and my student would go do 15 jumping jacks and come back ready to learn. Sometimes that's all they need. But if a child's wiggly and you're like, sit down, what's wrong with you? And they're still wiggly and you've taken away from class, nothing is getting accomplished. So just trying to troubleshoot, what is it that that child needs from you? What can we try? sometimes they just needed counseling. They had a lot going on and they didn't feel comfortable telling anybody, and once they got it out with the school counselor, it went away. Sometimes they needed to journal. They had a lot going on the inside, and they needed a little quiet space with a journal. You know, I tend to be a little hyper, and other people, sometimes they just need their quiet time, you know? So maybe putting a little feelings table in your hallway and letting them just get out what's bothering them, and then they can come back ready to learn. And a lot of times, most times, all they need is some differentiated instruction. So determining how to best meet the needs of those individual kids, we don't realize that sometimes we just are not teaching the way that they learn. So there are 3 basic learning styles. I'm sure you guys have covered a ton of this. But the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learners. So once you learn those kids, then you can start playing around with how they would best learn. You know, maybe they need some visual aids. This year we have a lot of auditory learners in my class. Everything is a chant, right, Alyssa? Everything is a chant. We sing everything, but it works for them. So putting headphones in, maybe they need repetition. I've had teachers who suggested to me having like things repeated on a headset, and then they used it to help them learn. Sometimes they need multi-sensory, like tapping their spelling words, or we do spelling stretches where they spell the words touching the correct lines. Hand clapping. They could use magnetic letters. There are so many things that you can do that are limitless to help kind of meet their needs. And I love, actually Dr. Chow, I think, was the one that said this, but the best teacher is the one that never forgets what it's like to be a student. So just keep that in mind. I've written that in numerous papers since college, but I try to constantly remind myself, what was it like to be a student? So think of how you're communicating with your students. This has been my biggest game changer as a teacher, realizing that our students come from homes that are not like ours a lot of times. We put our kiddos on the school bus, and we go and we have our nice dinner in our nice warm homes, and sometimes they're not getting anything close to that. You know, there are a multitude of things that they're experiencing, and so I ask you to just keep in mind, like, if that were your child, as a teacher, how would you want that child to be spoken to? It's easy, we get frustrated and we're like, but there are 27 of you, and I have to get this teaching done. But if you can just think of taking the time and looking at that child like it were your child. And I briefly want to share with you, my greatest teacher was a 6-year-old, and a couple years ago she had moved in, I think February, and sometimes you get a new student, you just get your whole world ready, and then you get the memo that says you're getting a new student, and you're like, oh, you know. So, as the universe would have it, she was a challenging child, and she came in with all of her stories and her breakdowns and her fits, and so I had my perfect little world, and this child would have fits, like real little kid kind of fits. And so I would, every day I had a little journal I'd write down, what can I do with her? What am I going to do? So we worked every day. So I scaffolded her to like right outside my doorway, and I'd say, okay, we're going to get out what we need to get out. You can cry if you need to cry, but then we're going to get it together and come back. This is our learning space. So we're going to make it a space for everybody to learn. So one day I go out in the hallway with her, and she's crying. She would never let me in. And I said, finally, what is going on with you? What? Help me help you. I don't know what to do. I can see that you're hurting, you know? And she said her parents had gone away. There had been like a lot of substance abuse and issues going on. She's like, I just miss my daddy. And I was like, my dad had just passed away 3 years prior, and I was like, I just cried with her. I said, I know, I miss my daddy too. I didn't say anything more than that. I just cried and I said, I miss my daddy too, you know, and it's not easy, but I wake up every day and I know I'm going to make him really proud. And we had a movement, and that was the last big fit that she ever had. And the next time she had a little social issue, she walked out to the hallway, she cried a little bit, and she stood right at my doorway, and she did, and she took her deep breath, she walked back in and got ready to rock. So You know, there's so much we can learn from our kids, too. They're human. They just need us, really. So, another issue that we have in our classroom is bullying. So, I ask you to think about the last situation that I used. Her outside world was a reflection of her inside world. She was hurting. She was sad. Same thing with bullies. With bullying, there's an imbalance of power. There are students who are sad or aggressive or angry, but for whatever reason, they're hurting. And our goal as teachers is to kind of lessen that gap, to try to close it a little bit. So have open conversations with your students. Listen to what they're saying, and more importantly, listen to what they're not saying. Listen to them saying, I don't really like the school bus. I don't want to ride it. And maybe it is that they think that it stinks and it's a long ride home, but maybe it is that they're being picked on the school bus. So part of our job, once we get to know them, is to determine, what's going on with them? What is the underlying cause? Having conversation starters. We have all of these cards I'll be happy to share with you, but they're conversation starters that you can pull quickly and have a powwow with your kids. You know, what would you do if you saw someone being bullied? Our job, especially early childhood teachers, is to plant these seeds now. Because once the kids get older and they're in it, it's not too late, but it sure is hard to stop it then. We have a very big responsibility to stop it now and to at least plant those seeds for them. Okay, I know what to do. I know I've talked about this, and maybe there's another way. You guys, I don't know if you are familiar with the bucket filling series. Love it. There are so many books in here that have lessons incorporated, but talking about filling buckets. I mean, there are so many things that we're doing that are building our students to be lifelong learners and lifelong livers, you know, getting them to live and be positive members of our society. So these are great. This series is wonderful. Also teaching them to be active members of our community. If they're feeling sad, encourage them. I have a job for you. I want you to go to the playground and make 2 people smile and come back and tell me how you feel. Teaching little children random acts of kindness and to be of service to others can change everything for them. And then acknowledge their positive behavior. Maybe they haven't made great choices, but acknowledging the things that they do well. As humans, we are hardwired for connection. I'm going to bring up Brené Brown again because she's unbelievable. But she defines connection as the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, and when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. That's it. That's all our kids need. So there's a misconception that if we're using positive reinforcement, that means we're lowering our standards and we're fluffing. It couldn't be more from the truth. We are setting high expectations for our students, but we're setting attainable ones that they're able to reach. So we're saying, okay, you might be down there, but I'm going to meet you where you are, and I'm going to bring you here. And once you get there, we're going to go here. So you're setting the bar very high for them, but you're not setting them so far that they feel like failures. So a lot of times, we just don't know our students well enough to say, this is what they can do. So the goal here is to just meet them where they are and try to help them to rise. And we've all seen these posters that say, shoot for the moon, dream big, reach for the stars. But we need to not just say it. We need to model it for them. We need to show them, we need to teach them, repeat it, and mean it. When we're saying believe in yourself, reach for the stars, we need to be doing everything that we can to help them to do that, and most of all, to help them believe it in themselves. How do you do that? Well, little things make a really big difference. Having them be a star student, and they get to be in charge. I write notes at the top of my kids' papers all the time, even if they don't pass, if they got one more problem than they won. And you can if you try. I say that all the time. You can do it. You can if you try. I never said anything to them, but each year you would not believe how many students at the back of their paper they say, I can if I try. I can do it. I can if I try. If you say it enough and you look at them and you say, I'm showing up would bring it, then they show up for themselves and they bring it. So they start believing it too. I have them write notes on their desk. I am amazing. I'm smart. I'm extraordinary. I am perfect. I'm a good friend. You know, having them write notes where they say, I am those things. Oh, I have time test time, and I differentiate. So each day, somebody different passes, and once they pass that math sequence, then they get to move on to the next. So each day, dun, dun, time test time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not exactly great. We had a passer yesterday. Please give a big round of applause to Kenzie. Way to go, Kenzie! See you can if you try. See you can if you try. Hard work pays off. So we do that every day. So they acknowledge the good work of their friends, even if it wasn't them teaching them. They get so excited when their friends pass, and they'll go up and give them a hug, see, you did it. But little things like that really do make a large impact. Conflict resolution. So the goal is to kind of scaffold away, especially us early childhood people. We could have a line every day of, teacher, she did something, you know. So the goal is to kind of scaffold and get them to be problem solvers on their own. Not all of my information comes from research. I got this one from Regis and Kelly back when it was Regis and Kelly. But they did a bug and a wish. So I have a little ladybug, and they take it to their friend and they say, it bugs me when you, and I wish, they use the I statements, I wish that next time you would, and they tell them exactly what it is that they wish that person would do. And so it's a great way to get them, and the other person says, I'm really sorry, don't they? I'm really sorry, and sorry means it won't ever happen again. And so it really gets them to do that conflict resolution. Things are going to happen. We're not always going to love what takes place. Having self-reflection sheets, you know, I felt this way when this happened. And getting them, a lot of times, they learn so much information about what bothers them, about other people, they learn about themselves. So having them journal, having a feelings table where you have books about feelings. For some reason, we put such resistance to feeling sad. It's okay to feel sad. We all feel sad, and that's all right. How can we feel better? And like I said, having them say, I'm sorry, means that that's not going to happen again. It doesn't fly to say, I'm sorry, and then walk away. That's just not going to happen in our class. So there are so many things you can do, too, as teachers to teach this. I use a ton at the beginning of the year of non-examples. I show them exactly what I don't want to see, and they tell me why that's not acceptable. We do a lot of role-playing, reader theaters. We recently participated in a bully video. So the students did an anti-bully video, but we did a pro-peace video. So doing little things like that, though, get them really excited about being a good citizen. Puppet shows, they could create posters. The sky's the limit. I told you I was throwing so much at you, your little hands.
You know what the beautiful thing is? If you're willing, we can actually have you send us the PowerPoint, and we can put it on YouTube. We can put your video on YouTube, and so in essence you'll have access to this PowerPoint presentation, which is awesome.
Perfect. That's fine. I feel like I'm throwing so much at you, but please feel free to stop me. How do I provide assistance while still encouraging independence? So this is another thing I do when we do guided reading groups. I will have students use sign language. We use sign language for anything. So instead of doing a reading group and the students going, I need to go potty, teacher, they can just go like this. And the students are still reading, and I'll say yes, or I'll say no, or I'll tell them to wait, and we have a whole conversation going, and the students are not affected at all.
That's awesome.
So sign language is the most amazing behavior management tool that I have found. Having solo cups, so they could stick a red solo cup on their desk to let you know when you're done talking, I could use some help. We have popsicle sticks, nothing fancy here. I mean, you can take the red, yellow, green popsicle sticks and do things like that. Paint chips from Home Depot. Throw them on a card, and so they could sit down with their groups. Green, we're good to go. Red, when you get a chance, I need for you to stop and help me. Yellow, same thing. Oh, another thing I have. Also, a lot of times when I'm teaching, there's a student that's off task. If you stop, you're drawing all the attention to that child. You're humiliating them. You have completely lost the rest of the kids that you had going. So sometimes I might do something if they really need a reminder. I might just go like this. I'm still teaching. I reminded them, please stop what you're doing. The whole class is still going, and nothing has been interrupted. So those are little things that you can do, too. But the same way, I always have to trump with a positive. So I have my big ear award for the student who is making the best choices. Little attention grabbers you can do. I say focus, and all the kids go, and that means their eyes are on me. I'll say, if you can hear me, raise your thumb. So I teach them to listen with their eyes, not just their ears. So I might say it, and I see how many times I can get them, to do it before I count. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. They say 1, 2, eyes on you. Get ready to rock, and they say ready to roll. You could do, one of my friends that teaches 3rd grade, she says stop, collaborate, and they say and listen. You could do a medal thing, they're limitless. Yes, they're hilarious, but it gets them, you would not believe how on task they are. And then, of course, the infamous turn the lights off. That was all I knew when I was a kid. So, ways that you can keep them accountable. If you're like me, I didn't make eye contact if I thought that the teacher was going to call on me and I didn't know the answer. So if you create a classroom community where it's fine to take risks, you can have democracy sticks where you pull their name. It's fine for them not to know. They're not scared. And they always have an opportunity to phone a friend. So I always keep all their names in there so that they're making sure that they're paying attention. I want to make sure that they're on task, they're engaged in their learning. But if they didn't know the answer, there's nothing worse than having the teacher standing over you going, have them explain to a partner what they learned. Have them direct instruction to each other. So another thing right now that's the big hype, if you aren't familiar, is formative assessment. We do a ton of it. Instead of waiting till the very end and doing a big test on everything that they learned, how are we doing on this? Thumbs up if you get it, down if you don't, to the side if you're wishy-washy. Let me know. Post-its, having them right before they leave. Write a noun on a post-it. Do they get it? Do they not? Okay, I need to work with these students on nouns. Doing whiteboards, having them raise the answer on a whiteboard. It lets you know super fast what it is that they need to be working on. And then there are also exit slips. Before they leave, they turn something in to let you know where they are. So final thoughts. Self-reflection is key. Take it easy on yourself. It's a learning process, and I could give you so many tools, and then you're going to have the child that doesn't fit the mold for anything. Be easy on yourself. Learn as you go. Try something new. Think outside of the box. Don't be afraid to change the frequency. If 17 kids have changed their clip that day, maybe the common denominator is not the 17 kids, and we need to, look at ourselves and pull them back together and say, okay, our whole day is not going to go like this because you're amazing. Let's do this together as a team. Change it. Allow yourself to just be the best you can be, but take it easy on yourself. Practice the AAA. These are the 3 things I keep in mind. Affirmation, acknowledgement, appreciation. If you are affirming to them that they're incredible, if you are acknowledging the good things that they do, and if you are showing appreciation for them showing up for you, you're going to be great. So, where are we on time? This is like 3 minutes. Are we good?
Actually, I think they may have seen this on
Did
our
you guys see
Facebook
this?
page, but go for it.
Are you sure? Are we fine? Okay.
Go for it.
It's time to wake up, people. This one goes out to teachers. Teachers and students. It's time to get our learn on. And we got a lot to learn, too. I don't know it all, but I know a few things. Science. You hear? You take up space, you matter. It's just science, man. Don't be a bully. Don't even be a bully to the bullies. It just makes more bullies. We can all be awful sometimes. We can all also be awesome. It's time to be more awesome. And that's what it's time for. History. We got to study it so we don't repeat it. But if history does repeat itself, now I'm going to name my pet dinosaur Reginald. I just hope he doesn't hit me. We can't just study history. We got to make history. And history is made by ordinary people. Ordinary people like you and me. And that guy. The world's greatest thinkers. Confucius, Albert Einstein, Justin Timberlake. They put their pants on one leg at a time, just like me. If I put my pants on one leg at a time while I'm dancing. You can go by? Yeah. You're gonna be in the video though. You got to school. And you gotta show up. You can't just sleep in. You can't be late. And you can't just hang out in the back or laugh girls. It's like what Whitman said. No, except he didn't say that, but you would know that if you would read a book. Read a book, any book except the vampire ones. You want to change the world? You gotta know about it. What if Shakespeare didn't go to school? His plays would be even more confusing. Too big or not too big? Is that the question? I don't know what question is. I can go to school. Anybody? You up to you? I got a question for you. What are you teaching the world? How to be boring? How to make the world sad? No, you're not. We're teaching the world what it looks like to be awesome. No matter who you are, somebody's learning from you. Everybody's a teacher and everybody's a student. Look for the awesome. Teachers see things. They see when you're running down the hall. They see when you're passing notes. But they also see the person that we can all become someday. A writer or a speaker or Martin Luther King. Teachers, keep teaching. Students, keep studenting. That's not a word. Sorry about that. Here's the teachers that see the awesome. The homework is this. What do you want to teach the world? Do it. Let's make some history together. Because it's simple math. Together, we're better. Those girls are a little too loud. If their teacher inspires you, let them know. This is for teachers everywhere, so share it with them. We gotta make the world awesome. Somebody's learning from you. I'm out. Get to learn all.
I'm going to leave you with one last thought. I love this. I copied it and put it on my staff meeting agenda that I read every time, but it says, I've come to the frightening conclusion that I'm the decisive element in the classroom. It's my personal approach that creates the climate. It's my daily mood that makes the weather. As a teacher, I possess tremendous power to make a child's life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it's my response that decides whether a crisis will be escalated or de-escalated, and a child humanized or dehumanized. So true. So thank you very much.
First, I'd like to say that video is on our OSEA Facebook page. So thank Abby for finding that and posting it. So I think that's cool. We're all on the same page. We knew we would be. Questions to Angie. Questions to Alyssa. Questions to, I didn't introduce our former president, Courtney Barnes. Turn around and she is doing her professional internship as well at Liberty Union in kindergarten.
Yes.
And so she's getting baptism by fire as well. So we brought in a lot of experts today. Ask away if you've got some things that you'd like to hear.
I've seen the behavior, the clip chart overused, I guess.
Right.
How do you, because I know teachers, they just don't even, it's there, but it's not used. How do you keep yourself on track for using that?
Well, I think it just has to be consistent. Like I said, the beginning of the year is when you're pulling your hair out and you're really overdoing everything. But if you establish that from the very beginning, like this is important to me, this sets the climate for the entire school year. So knowing that kind of holds you accountable. But also, like you said, you have to be consistent and not overusing it. The students know the opposite happens if they try to clip up. Like if they're doing something just for the purpose of clipping up, then it doesn't happen. But I think a lot of that, the tone is set by you. You have so much more control than you realize. It seems like you are you're giving the control to the students, but really you have so much more control because you're the one setting the tone. So did I answer that really?
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to, it has to be consistent. Like consistency has to be the key.
I like how you had that they can keep moving up because I just seem like everybody's on purple today.
Right.
It's like,
No.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
That
I
doesn't
don't
work.
focus so much on the positive. So sometimes we overuse it for positive, but it's really good to empower them and make them know that they're making really great decisions. So when the bad, or, you know, when children make bad choices, you have to, you know what I mean?
But also, even the bad choices, like we don't ever use that.
Right.
I will never say the word bad to anything. I always talk to them in private. If there's a choice that I wish they would do differently, I tell them that. I think we underestimate the power. They're humans. They're just a little smaller, but they're humans. And I think that that honesty goes a long way. So you say, you know, I'm not upset with you. I'm disappointed in this choice, which is not you, but you're such an awesome kid that I know that we could come up with a better plan. And so they tell you what it is that they're going to do next time. Very rarely do you have to, like, reprimand them for negative choices. You know, most of the time, you're, like, giving them the ownership. They go, ooh, I didn't like how that felt when I did that. You know, so you're not having to put them, you know, your foot down as much. Anything else? I'm sorry. I feel like I just threw so much.
I just want to say, I have seen this in action. I have seen this in action, and I admire what Angie does in her classroom. And she truly does, from the very beginning, she truly does empower those children. It is amazing. You can go in her classroom during indoor recess, and they will all be respectful and quiet and everything like that, and everybody's like, how does she do it? How does she do it? It is truly, she invests the time in the beginning of the year, and it makes the rest of her year so much smoother. And I've told her, I moved to the classroom next to her, I said, there's a reason I'm doing this. I said, I want to really find out how this is done. So I can attest to the fact that what she does is powerful, and it truly does work. It's just you have to invest the time and the energy into it.
And Laura, I want to piggyback off that because one of the things when you walk into the classroom, it's joyful. Mm-hmm. It's truly joyful. You're greeted by a joyful child.
And respectful.
Very respectful. There's a hum about it that you know is so positive, and a video wouldn't even pick up on the hum. It's just a very wonderful sense of, as you say, empowerment when you walk in that classroom.
Thank you. Well, it's important to me, and I think so much now more than ever, our kids need us. Like,
they do.
especially these kids that, you know, the ones that come from good homes, it's great to reach them. But kids are struggling, parents are struggling, and they don't know how to reach these kids. And if we don't, who is going to? I mean, we are their only hope, basically, for a better life. And our goal is to, like, plant now. You can choose the life that you want, and there's something amazing about you. And especially, I don't think I touched enough on it in one of the slides, but acknowledging the things that they're great at. They feel like if they don't know how to read, so they don't know how to read, they come from a tough home life, they get beat down at home, their self-worth is determined, especially little girls, by the time they're in the 3rd grade. A child's self-worth is determined, research has said, by the time they're in the 3rd grade. So if we are not, as early childhood teachers, picking them up, what are the chances of them accomplishing anything, really?
And I love the fact that you're focusing on the strengths, and I love your experts book. Or you could have just somewhere in the wall, the experts wall, and you could have that change all throughout the year, flipping cards and, you know, showing what kids are good at to really build that self-esteem.
Yes.
So all of that is outstanding. Any other questions or any comments from our professional interns? Courtney, what's been your biggest issue this year, or your biggest celebration, and then maybe your biggest to-do kind of thing?
Well, I'm in kindergarten, so a lot of the kids are coming in, and we have no clue where they're coming from. Because, I mean, that's how all teachers are, but especially in kindergarten. So it's been very cool to see them, because just reflecting back, because my mentor Jennifer keeps saying, just wait till after Fair Week. Just wait. Just happen to Fair Week. And then it's like a totally different classroom. And I was just reflecting back on the week right before Fair Week and thinking back to how far we've come. So I guess my challenge would be bringing them to that point, but the celebration is that We're almost there.
And I think that's a legitimate thing, and it's constantly a work in progress, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, I envision in my mind, I see that yellow construction tape, and it's like we're just a work in progress. We're under construction as we're starting to eke out all these good things. Alyssa, any comments?
I mean, my biggest thing was confidence, and so I really stepped it up a notch. And honestly, the biggest thing I'd say when going into it is, don't care how you look. Like, I was always so afraid, like, well, that's gonna look stupid if I do that. And I'm like, they're 6. Like, we have got to, act crazy, be fun, because they love it. And that was like my biggest aha moment this time around. Was like, wow, Alyssa, you can go miles when just kind of acting silly and making it fun for
It works with 8th graders too.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, it's everything. And now that's what I do. I mean, if anyone came into our room, they'd probably think we were the craziest people in the entire world. But I mean, they love it and they feed off of that. And so, and just building a relationship with the kids, a strong one.
Good. Becky, any comments to the group?
I would just say don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're going to go there, like, there's a huge confidence issue, like going in being really nervous. Just don't worry about it. Just lean on your mentor teacher. Whenever you have a question, don't be afraid to ask. And just know that you're going to get better as time goes on. It's a learning process. And also just be very organized. That's important. To be organized early on and stay organized. That's just really
It
important.
is important.
Yeah, it is. I'm finding that out.
Do either one of our presenters, would you have a problem with if a student came to me and said, can I have their email and come spend an hour, spend the morning, spend a whatever?
No, I'm fine.
So you could have access to their classroom, which is absolutely wonderful. And also, just based on what you've said today, I was in and out. Did you do any video snippets of your classroom? Awesome. So you got to see some of the snippets. Good. I'd love to do just a couple snippets of your room as well. Wouldn't that be cool? We could put that on YouTube.
Let's do it.
All right. All right. Any other questions to our experts? Any comments from our experts? One last thing. You guys came from this program. You feel their pain. You want to.
Those of you that were in here with her, she did an amazing job. She was my son's teacher last year. So, hopefully you wrote down what she said and you do what she says because she knows what she's talking about.
Thank you so much.
She's going to send us PowerPoint notes and we have video. We have your questions. Anything else? How many people are going to sign up for the Tech Day? Hopefully you are. All right, where's the raffle?
I have it.
Good, go for it. Pick one.
Do you have something?
I have just one thing. Do you have anything?
I don't right now because remember if you come to 5 times, your name
Yep.
is in for the $50 Visa card.
This is I believe, a $10 gift certificate to, or I always say that. It shows how old I am.
It could have been
$10 gift card to Burger King. Take somebody to lunch with you. And it'll be...
Courtney Barnes.
Whoa!
Glad
Take me to lunch. No, take our marketing teacher to lunch. She would appreciate that. That would be good. Anything else? Next week, we have tentatively, we're talking about a service learning project, but we may revamp that. So I'll let you know what we're planning on doing for next